Hello, once more this is the Estate of Fortune. This time around I shall be covering the novella Heart of Darkness by the Polish-British author Joseph Conrad. It is a story partially based on the personal experiences of Conrad himself, although being somewhat embellished. Plot summary. It follows a sailor named Marlowe who remembers his time spent in the Congo on a venture to secure a quantity of precious ivory. While there, he hears of a famous trader known as Mr. Kurz, who is regarded by many in the business as being a prodigy. Marlowe becomes infatuated with the idea of meeting this enigma of a man, and this grows to be his biggest motivation while moving up the Congo River in their decrepit steamboat. They traverse the desolate countryside, virtually devoid of inhabitants, deeper into the titular darkness. Analysis. The Congo is never directly named by the narrator, and instead is only alluded to. The land that the expedition goes through is called many things: unearthly, prehistoric, primeval. It is the land of darkness, the land still inhabited by primitive mankind. Here is an important distinction. Instead of distancing the civilized colonizers from the savage tribesmen, it instead states that the spirit of savagery lives within every man. Marlowe does not question his, albeit distant, kinship to the locals. Furthermore, the idea that their goal is to spread enlightened values is scoffed at by the narrator, and he instead sees it as a simple justification for plunder. Early on in the narrative, Marlowe mentions that the Thames River was explored by Roman legionaries almost 2 millennia ago. In the land of the Britons they had likewise found the darkness. This creates a prevalent parallel with their own traversing of the Congo River. Centuries later, from the other direction of the Thames came many conquerors and explorers, bearing the sword but also the torch, a spark of the so-called sacred flame. There is an obvious hint of irony in that, especially since their destination of London, or the biggest and the greatest town on earth, how it is referred here, itself rose from the aforementioned darkness. There is another parallel, albeit a more subtle one, made later on. Their expedition is named after the mythical city of El Dorado. It is easy to see the correlation between them and the Spanish conquistadors, both exploring a mostly untouched, mysterious continent. Overall, a trend emerges from the narrative: the conflict between civilization and savagery. A common enough trope normally, but deconstructed here. The ones bearing the torch are not shown to have high moral qualities. Rather, the civilized are simply the ones who are able to take, while the savages are the ones who are taken from. This is personified in the character of Mr. Kurz, who at first preaches about justice, love, and the conduct of life, while eventually letting his own savage nature take over. His presence, and by extension the entire colonial presence, is therefore built upon a phantasmagoria of lies. Final thoughts. The story has a very uniquely grim, lonely, and hopeless atmosphere. The primordial land they go through, at times, feels almost metaphorical, while in truth remaining very much real. It leaves one with a lingering melancholy, being a kind of indistinctive tragedy. Lives of both the Europeans and the natives are consumed by the jungle, and yet in the end nothing of significance changes. The darkness takes its due and life moves on.